Zambian unionist Mwape Musonda says the Lusaka mayor, Sampa, should never have apologized for standing up for Zambians. The Lusaka mayor recently busted some Chinese investors who were mistreating local workers and engaged in behavior that bordered on racism. But the mayor was censured for the strong language he used against some Chinese nationals and for overstepping boundaries as he revokes the trading licenses for some Chinese-owned businesses. But the unionist says the mayor was right for standing up for Zambians, but should have followed laid-down procedure before he took action the affected Chinese nationals. Here's a report.
I wish to apologize unreservedly to the following. 1, the Chinese community in the city of Lusaka and beyond for the tone and language used towards one of their nationals, in particular on the use of the word Chinaman.
Meanwhile, Mr. Mwape says the Ministry of Labour can lessen the existing tension between the Chinese investors and aggrieved Zambian labourers by proactively resolving impasse that usually emanate from poor conditions of service. His comment comes at the backdrop of some Chinese investors who were recently murdered after a disagreement relating to labour matters. Let's take a look.
First of all, we want to commend what the mayor did and what he had been doing. We want to commend him because we saw some of the injustices that were going on, and I think the mayor did a good job in terms of coming out and standing up for Zambians. We need someone to stand up for us as Zambians against foreigners who are committing wrong things. Those are companies that were flouting the law, those that were not having the necessary documentation and paperwork. They had to be checked. Just wants to also acknowledge that he has been reprimanded by the minister. Maybe some of the methods that he used, maybe some of the words, like you heard him yesterday, himself, the mayor, when he apologized, he mentioned that maybe some of the words that he had used were not appropriate. So looking at that, I would say maybe in his way of trying to stand up for Zambians, he may have done some things that were wrong. And I think from that point of view, we will say that maybe it's good that it came from himself, the mayor. Maybe we don't know under the circumstances under which he had to apologize, but I think he mentioned where he had gone wrong. He didn't follow procedure because it's not up to the mayor to go and revoke the license. I think what the minister condemned was not the action of the mayor going to check what is happening in these Chinese companies, but how the mayor did it. For maybe Ministry of Labour, they should be more vigilant. It's a wake-up call to be more vigilant, to send out more officers to go and check on what's happening in these companies. You see, the reason why people call the mayor instead of calling upon the Ministry of Labour is because maybe they have lost trust that their plight is not being attended to. Deploy more officers to go and check what's happening. And then also just to call on the people, especially those who are working in these companies owned by the Chinese, to report most of these cases to Ministry of Labour. Let's ensure that we report to the Ministry of Labour. If the Ministry of Labour is unable to do anything, then we can be able to say, okay, we reported this case and nothing has happened.
Meanwhile, a Lusaka resident says he stands with